Before 2020, what did you know about Souls games? I'm being serious. They were niche titles, but most gamers knew of them, and they had one prevalent theme that everyone was aware of. They were challenging. That was their main gimmick in a way. When Demon Souls was released in 2009, it was a spiritual successor and homage not only to King's Field, FromSoft's first array into action-adventure gaming, but also to a bygone era of games being difficult. In the same way beating a game on the hardest difficulty nowadays gives you kudos, so did beating any game in the 8-bit era. If you beat Ninja Gaiden, you were a god, not only due to your gaming prowess, but also because of your memory, because let's be honest, this game among many others from that era was bullshit in some of their tactics. This is a series known for being a challenge, and many people bought a Souls game with one intention: not to explore its world, engross themselves in its lore, or experience its story, but instead to say one thing: I beat it, because being able to do so gave you bragging rights. So when Elden Ring, the spiritual successor to the Souls series from that same developer, was released, why did it garner this reaction? Now imagine this: a game development company is making a game that has a target audience, but due to a slowly growing popularity over time, your marketing is now inadvertently targeting those outside of that audience, and has led to those who purchase the game not because they want to play a challenging Souls game, but instead because it was the popular game to buy. They then get mad because they weren't the target audience, despite hours of in-game footage showing exactly what this game is. Then they have the audacity to demand that the game development company make the game easier because they bought it with little to no research, and they refuse to learn the game's systems. Instead of concluding that perhaps this type of game isn't for them, they instead grip the sunken cost fallacy with diamond hands and shout from the rooftops that this game, and indeed all games, should be catered to them personally, when thousands of others were enjoying it just fine. My favourite game series is The Elder Scrolls. Does that mean when I buy a Souls game, I get to demand they change things to the standard that I personally like? Should they add a compass with waypoints and a comprehensive journal system alongside hundreds of NPCs just because that's what I enjoy? No, of course not. A FromSoft Souls-like game is exactly what you would expect it to be. Now, this hate of Souls games' difficulty is nothing new. It was this infamy for being hard that made so many pick up Dark Souls in an attempt to beat it and prove their skills in the first place. But with Elden Ring, it feels different. The winds have changed from, man, these games are hardcore and so they must be reserved only to the hardcore gamers, to instead saying, this game is deliberately hurting people by being hard and they should feel bad for even making such a difficult game. Can you tell that I've been using Twitter lately? Because yeah, this isn't an uncommon opinion, unfortunately. Yes, accessibility is important. I'm all for colorblind options, fully remappable controls, scalable UI and text, and more options that are slowly becoming standard. But a game's difficulty isn't part of that equation. Super Mario Bros. Is one of the best-selling games of all time, revered by all and known as a children's game, the perfect introduction to gaming. And guess what? It's hard. Seriously, go and play it now. In a full playthrough, unless you played it extensively in your youth, you'll reach parts that will be a challenge. Sure, it's not a Souls game, and it's certainly not Battletoads, but there are sections where you will have to figure out how to progress. And you know why the challenge is good? Because it feels good to beat it. When you finally overcome that section that has thwarted you before, you feel accomplished. It's an integral part of what made gaming the activity that it is. When you're putting coins into an arcade machine, it's because you're trying to get further than before, to beat what killed you previously, to overcome the challenge. Since the early days of Space Invaders and Pac-Man, overcoming the challenge of faster opponents, ticking timers, or point accumulation has always been a part of gaming. And let's remember that there are more than enough games that dedicate themselves to the more casual gamer, and even these have challenges. Stardew Valley, Minecraft, even Animal Crossing have some level of challenge, some degree of a learning curve. They may not punish you as much as other games, but all games need some level of difficulty. It will alienate some players. Good. Not every game needs to be for everyone. I'm not a fan of racing games, for example, even including Mario Kart. For whatever reason, they have never been appealing to me. The only series I enjoyed was Burnout. Does that mean I expect every racer to become like Burnout? Of course not. And if they did, I guarantee they would not be as beloved as they are. It's a word I don't want to use, but it feels like there is some degree of entitlement linked closely with FOMO, the fear of missing out. Because Elden Ring is the in-game right now, those that it was not made for are lashing out, because they believe they are missing out on the fun. They believe they are entitled to experience the game the same way others can. It is this belief that in part causes AAA games to resort to the lowest common denominator. Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Far Cry 6 are devoid of the life their respective series began with. The difficulty has been stripped. The challenges are removed. If you've played one of them, you've played all of them. It leads to brain dead gaming, like watching a soap opera on TV. It's all fed to you with zero effort or development required from the viewer, or in this case, the player. You rarely feel like you have mastered the game, but instead that you have just followed the goals expected of you. Not every game requires an easy mode, even though Elden Ring actually has one with spirit summons. It's like going to the gym and then complaining that some weights are too heavy for you, and then demanding that the machines have an auto lifting option. The whole point is that you start from nothing and slowly progress until you are stronger and faster, just like with Elden Ring. Paying for a game does not mean you are now entitled to beat it, in the same way that buying a 50kg dumbbell does not make you entitled to be able to lift it. You have to progress to be able to do so, and when you do, it'll feel great because you earned it. I've been playing Portal 2 lately, and it got me thinking. Portal 2 has no difficulty options because, well, how would that even work? If you are, say, less inclined to be able to figure out a puzzle, does that mean that Valve have deliberately made their game inaccessible and they should be forced to apologize? No, because it's a puzzle game. It was sold as a puzzle game. If you know you aren't very good at solving puzzles, don't buy a puzzle game, and certainly don't complain when the puzzles actually require thinking. If you bought a FromSoft Souls game, you should know what you're getting yourself into. They have made it clear over the last 25 years that they make a certain type of game, and that is what they will always do. Now, there is an argument that they could implement an easy mode. Let's just make all the bosses take 4 hits and make the damage they deal be just 10% of what it is currently. The problem with this is that not only will this make the game boring, seriously, it's fighting the bosses that makes a Souls game a Souls game. Remove that, and what are you left with really from a pure gameplay standpoint? The main issue is that time and time again it has been proven that making different difficulty modes will take away from development time because it will force the team to rebalance everything multiple times. An example of this would be Devil May Cry 5. Due to people complaining about how hard DMC was, the developers made the traditional easy mode the default normal and included an even easier mode that stripped all life from the game, with the hard mode being locked behind a complete run. This obviously angered fans and even turned away the new players as it was too easy. And what happens when they don't spend time to balance everything for different difficulties? You get Oblivion with its jacked up level scaling, or Skyrim with its mind-numbingly easy low difficulty or its laughably overpowered legendary difficulty. Let's remember that Elden Ring, and all Souls games for that matter, are not like the platformers of old that much anyway. They don't rely purely on reaction time or memory. The game already lets you upgrade your weapons, summon and upgrade AI spirits to help you, lets you level up and become stronger in the game, allows you to summon other players to help, and you can always just move on to another area and progress on something different, and then come back later when you're stronger. What else do people want? I'm all for accessibility like better colorblind options and such, but the game gives plenty of avenues to decrease the difficulty already. The open world allows you to progress forward and return to the harder sections unlike any other game from FromSoft so far. If you enter a gym in Pokemon when underleveled, do you lose and then say the game is too hard? Or do you instead go back out into the world and focus on getting stronger so that you can come back when you are better prepared? Simply put, FromSoft shouldn't have to apologize for other people's incompetence. But I'm just another gamer lashing out at people for not being as good at games as I am, right? Well, that's where you'd be wrong. I haven't actually played Elden Ring or any Souls game since Demon Souls, because these games aren't made for me. I'm not a hardcore gamer. I don't have the skill or patience to master them, and I'm okay with that, because they were made for other gamers who love them, and the more games, the better. I can play the style of game that I enjoy, and they can enjoy the style of game that they enjoy. And to conclude, yeah, I got baited. I know that these articles are written for us to rage at them, but I don't believe that they are just setting up a straw man. The fact that the AAA gaming landscape has trended the way it has proves that it must be true, at least to some regard. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm open to any and all viewpoints on this matter. I think it's interesting to spark discussions around our favourite hobbies, and I hope you agree. If you liked or disliked the video, you know exactly which buttons to press. This was a slightly different video from me. I won't be making these discussion type videos often, but when I do have something to say that I believe is an interesting topic to bring up, then I will. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.